Hello there once again, fellow peregrinos. Welcome to El Camino de Santiago, Pilgrim's podcast, where we talk about planning, preparation and packing for walking the road to Santiago, as well as tips, tricks and hacks to make your journey along the way a lot more enjoyable. This week, we have an interview with a Camino coach, no less than 14 Caminos to this man's name. The most recent was just last month when the Camino was shut down. But before we get into all of that, I've got our Camino coach, Max. It's great to have you.
Hello. Great to be with you.
Max, please take us back to the first time you decided to walk the Camino de Santiago, which was 2005. Tell us the story about why you decided to walk the Camino. What was that, 15 years ago?
Yes, exactly. It was a long time ago, and the Camino was very different. And I was living in the, as one says, good things come in threes. So when I was living in the US and studying, I remember in the late 90s, I saw something on the Camino. And I remember catching my eye. I'm like, yeah, this sounds really cool. I should do it one time. And then a few years passed. I completely forgot about it. I was in Germany, and something came my way. Oh, yeah, a friend of mine who is a priest. His sister. We were talking, and he told me that his sister had walked the Camino all the way from Düsseldorf, and he walked with her from the Spanish border on, and he said mass in the Cathedral of Santiago. So that kind of rekindled my interest. But ultimately, the Camino, the third time, where I actually walked it, turned out to be the plan B for another vacation that did not happen. I had a trip planned to New Zealand for a month and a half, and that unfortunately fell through. And so then I only had 2 weeks of time, and I kind of remembered, oh yeah, there's something about the Spain thing, the Camino, and that's how I ended up on the Camino for just 2 weeks that time.
So what was it that captivated you? What caught your attention about the Camino? Why did you think that you'd want to do it?
It's a very good question, actually. It's really something that I still, to this day, after all these Caminos, really love about it. It's a blend of nature, culture, physical activity, and relaxation, kind of time to be by myself and time to be with others, meeting people, or having just just being in the nature, sitting and just or walking and counting the trees that I pass by. It's a combination of all those things, which is it makes the Camino really unique, because you hear things about maybe like the Appalachian Trail. I have very good friends who walk it all the time, who are just as committed and really gung-ho about it as I am about the Camino, and that is great, but that's just nature, just to give an example. Or visiting cities, that's a lot of cultural intake, and the nature is sort of lacking. So the Camino, it provides this beautiful blend, I would say.
Yeah, that fusion of culture and exercise and adventure, it's very addictive, isn't it?
Very much so.
So, Max, you decided to, I guess, turn your vacation into a vocation, and you are now a Camino coach, and you got 14 Caminos to your name. The most recent was last month when you were in Arzua, right, which is right next to one day away from Santiago, when you and your daughter had to stop. Is that correct?
Well, no, we actually did not have to. We were, obviously one was hearing about the coronavirus and whatnot. So to give a little feedback, we started walking in Fonsebadon. My daughter flew into Madrid from the US, which is where she was going to school. And it was planned as a spring break trip, just a few days on the Camino. And by the time when we checked in at the hostel in Arzua, they told us that we were staying at the municipal albergue there. And the word was, no, we're not shutting down. Everything's good. And then that night we were sitting with a couple of, basically with our Camino family, having dinner at the local, eatery restaurant. And that's when the news came on the television that the Spanish, I think it was Prime Minister, declared state of emergency, and basically the staff told us what that meant. So basically from the next day on, we would not have cafes, restaurants, etc. And that's exactly what came to pass. But we did, my daughter and I and a few other pilgrims we were with, did walk into Santiago that day. There was a very long day, but we managed to actually walk on foot. And my understanding is from the following day on, people or pilgrims were just cities so that they could be, they could find their ways out of Spain or whatever.
Because they were only letting people out rather than letting anyone in. And yeah, if I am not mistaken, they said the state of emergency on the Saturday would start on the Monday, but it actually came into effect at midnight on the which was about 48 hours earlier than they said, or 24 hours earlier than they said it was going to happen. So it kind of fell very suddenly. And how old's your daughter, Max?
She is 14, and this was her second Camino. Yeah, she walked her first. Yeah, she walked the first one when she was 10, and so the idea was to kind of relive and repeat. And she loved it. She loved her first Camino. She liked a lot the second Camino as well, except for the last couple of days. Yeah, things kind of got smudged, and as you can imagine, she was leaving school, all her friends for a spring break trip from the States, kind of saying, "Hey, I'll see you in a week or in a week and a half." And then, she's still in Europe. She still hasn't left Europe. So, and the world is just a different place. But it was really nice. Otherwise,
so she's still with you in Germany right now?
Yes, she is. Mm-hmm, yeah.
Right. So she gets a longer holiday than she thought.
Yeah, I mean, she wished she didn't, and her school is since the plan was for her to move to Germany this summer anyway. And so it's just kind of like accelerated the move because she's starting to attend school again here starting next school year. Well, her school in the US is now basically closed until the end of the school year. They're doing some online stuff, but it's really not much.
Well, you've obviously been a good influence on her, Max, because 14 years old and already 2 Caminos to her name. That's very, very impressive. Yeah. So, and just to say good luck with the homeschooling as well, because maybe she's got to wait till September to go back to school.
Yes.
So we obviously, if you've walked 14 Caminos and you're a Camino coach, there's lots of people that are listening to this podcast that may well be going on their first Camino when it reopens. Could you give them some advice on choosing the most 3 important things, which would be the backpack, footwear and socks, 3 of the most important things? Any advice you can give them in choosing those?
So let's see. Backpack, basically, this is something that I would recommend trying all of the ones that you can find in a store that you can go to, because it really just kind of has to it has to be perfect for you. It has to be a perfect fit. Go to the store, put some, I don't know, just ask the store tenants to put some stuff into it so we have some weight, and just try it on, try to adjust it, pull it up and down a bit until you just have this perfect kind of hug fit. Once you have it, you'll know it. And then, if that model is not available or if it's too costly, you can maybe just write down the model and try to shop elsewhere for it. But it's I would recommend with a backpack, I recommend taking it very seriously. What brand or what make, I don't think it really matters as much as the fit on your individual personal back. A couple of things that are important are maybe, or can be important, are any sorts of like side pockets where you can put your water bottle in, or sunglasses. Places like my daughter has a backpack. It's perfect. It fits her perfectly, but it's very impractical in terms of attaching the Camino shell to it. Like otherwise, it's absolutely ideal. But she was frustrated a lot on the Camino because the shell was just coming off and you cannot clip it there. So these are minute things. So make sure it fits perfectly. As far as footwear, that's where you have different philosophies and takes on this. So and I'm going to share my own. My personal philosophy is, first of all, spending quite a bit of money on this, investing quite a bit into it, because it is really the essential thing. I have always hiking boots and hiking sandals. So other people you'll see, they walk in tennis shoes, things like that. and they may do so, and it's perfectly fine if it works for them. For me, I really stick to this, and I recommend it. I've never had not never. In my 14 Caminos, maybe I've had 3 or 4 blisters. But this Camino, for example, the last Camino, I didn't have a single blister at all. And my foot, so hiking boots that I have are ankle high, so that there's that ankle support. They were probably, I think I paid 170 euros, and it's a Lowa brand. They're leather all the way up, and they're waterproof. So that's what I would recommend. I would recommend not saving on them. And hiking sandals, I'm talking about, actually I have Echo, I think, and I'm not trying to promote any brands, by the way, but Echo sandals work really well for me. They have Velcro straps and a really, really, really thick sole. And again, other people have tennis shoes, flip-flops for shower or whatever. I don't have that. I'm perfectly fine with just that. And so when you enter a town, you can take off your hiking boots, put your your sandals on. So for example, if you're walking through León or Pamplona, they'll be just fine carrying through the whole city, and your feet are breathing. And then when you hit some rougher, dust, mud or whatnot, you might put something else on. I think it also depends when you walk, because I usually walk, most of my Caminos were in the spring / kind of late winter, and also in the fall. I walked one Camino in the summer, but I still had my hiking boots. So, and as far as socks, that's where you also have different theories. In fact, my first and second Camino, I think I was under the theory of wearing 2 pairs of socks, kind of like a double sock, and it worked all right. Since then, I discovered, maybe it's a German brand, Falke. I mean, I know it's a German brand, but I think they sell it elsewhere as well. And so Falke, Falke, they have different, again, I'm not promoting it, but they have different thickness of socks, and I just wear one sock. One thing that I do is I get a size smaller than my actual foot size. So my foot size is 44, I get a 43, and that works just perfectly. And I guess if again, this is not to dispute, I've walked with pilgrims who do double socks and they don't have blisters either. But if you ask my opinion, this is what works for me. I have 3 pairs of socks and 1 pair of hiking boots and 1 pair of nice quality hiking sandals.
Okay, really helpful stuff there, Max. Thanks a lot. So on the rucksack, you said it was quite important to, if you can, try before you buy. And the most important thing, you said more than the brand, was the fit. So trying different ones on and see what feels most comfortable and fits best with your body. And you also mentioned side pockets being really important. And obviously to put your water in, or any of the stuff that you might need to get quick access to while you walk. And also being able to tie that pilgrim shell to your backpack is really, really important as well. And was very important for your daughter. Footwear, exactly. You said, if and where possible, to spend or invest in a good pair if possible, and ankle high hiking boots, the hiking sandals for when you finish walking out the day, and the socks. And also on the footwear, you mentioned making sure that they're waterproof. And on the socks, could I please ask why you get a smaller size?
This is what I was told by salespeople in the store, that it's actually, they are informed that way, they're trained that way by manufacturers. So when they have to do certain, training, and it's just said that because the socks are a bit stretchy, they tend to be stretchier. They have that stretching material. The kind of bottom padded hiking socks is what I'm talking about. They just envelop your foot better, and they don't slide as much. And so because you don't have that friction, you just have a better fit all throughout. And then if you treat your feet, which I don't know if you want to talk about this as well, but it's one kind of component to the whole picture, starting from your foot all the way to the outsole of the boot, I guess.
Absolutely. So really helpful stuff there, Max. Thank you very much. And for those that haven't walked the Camino before, that's going to be a really big help when they take a step into their sports shops. Now, when you first do the Camino, I know I certainly did. I don't want to call them mistakes, but certainly things I would do differently, and I have done differently on my second, third, fourth Caminos, etc. Any mistakes you made in your first few Caminos that you've now learned not to do and have made your journeys more enjoyable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. I mean, as far as gear, my gear has become, I mean, throughout all of my Caminos, just a lot better. First of all, because there's more, I think there are more quality things available now. Because again, my first Camino was 15 years ago, so I don't even quite remember. I just remember I had horrible gear. I think part of the time I walked in jeans. It still worked, and so that's also something that I also tell people: don't worry too much, don't stress over it too much, because things are still doable. But yeah, I mean, being very conscientious about gear, trying not to overpack, but also not to underpack. Keeping in mind that you can get lots of things in Spain, even if you forgot something, so not really kind of freaking out about it. And yeah, I mean, I think probably what I certainly do differently is just overall preparation for the Camino, because as I said before, my very first one, if I remember correctly, I had very little time to even prepare for it, because my plan to go to New Zealand fell through, and then I had about a week and a half to rethink and kind of book a ticket to go to Spain, and I didn't have any gear, so I bought something randomly. So it was very much kind of a toss-up, but certainly nowadays I plan in different ways. I plan much better. I just take it, in many ways more seriously.
And to get trail fit, to get in shape for the Camino, any training hacks, any recommendations for those that have never done anything like this before?
Yeah, certainly. And that's, as you mentioned, I'm a Camino coach. We kind of go over these things. So my preparation program involves a lot of this kind of stuff as well. So one thing, so I practice Aikido, which is a martial art that involves a lot of movement and requires a lot of just flexibility, because we do front rolls, back rolls, so we stretch extensively doing Aikido. I know yoga would be a great alternative as well, and so Aikido or yoga or anything that just basically has all your body well stretched, particularly stretching feet and legs and back, that really helps a lot. I don't really, I'm not going to discourage anybody from, doing kind of trial walks. I think it's a great idea. I've done it very few times, so I'm not saying that it's not essential for me, I guess, but it's probably a good idea. Just whatever gets you active. I also lately started doing this thing that a friend of mine who is a natural health practitioner recommended, doing like a course of taking minerals for about 2 to 4 weeks. And that just kind of helps take the acids out of your body. I also like getting more into the habit of drinking more water than I usually do. And I'm talking about kind of getting into a habit of drinking like about 3 liters of water, again, to just kind of, flush things out of your body, because your muscles, if they're stretched, if they are flexible, if they're, if all these bad stuff is flushed out of them, they'll just work a lot better. But so that's as far as your body goes. But I think getting trail fit requires more than just that. And one thing, I mean, when talking about getting ready for the Camino, I like to look at it more complexly. So like body, mind, heart, soul, and just kind of like balancing this wheel. And training your mind is just as important. I'll give you just one example. I think it's very important to think and decide and make agreements with how you'll be in touch with your loved ones before you go on the Camino, so that you don't have to think about it while on the Camino, or making, kind of agreements with yourself how much you'll use, your Facebook or Instagram if you take your phone, or do you take your phone, like all those things, because that rests your mind, and a rested mind, just like a ready and rested, prepared body is just as important. Not to mention, there's also heart, there's also soul, and I kind of like looking at things in this complex and blended perspective, not just isolating the body out of the equation. Because my second Camino, if I may just a quick example, my body was super well trained. I prepared super well physically, but mentally I was in a really bad place, and it affected my Camino a lot, to the point where I didn't sleep well. And because I didn't sleep well, my body got tired. which led me to twisting an ankle and actually had to interrupt the Camino. So there you go. It's we humans are very complex and organisms, I guess I should say. There we go.
All right. So I like the approach there, which you said was a body, mind, heart, and soul approach. And for the body, you mentioned stretching, Aikido. Also talk about minerals to flush the acids out of the body, and getting used to taking on at least 3 liters of water.
2 or 3, yeah, depending.
2 or 3, yeah. Depending on obviously the how much you weigh, how tall you are, etc. But yeah, I think that's obviously, you said that's important for flushing out those toxins as well. And I like the approach you say about the making sure that you know how you're going to keep in contact with your loved ones while you're away. So that's one less decision you've got to make while you're on the road, and gives you a bit more peace of mind, and takes one less decision out of every day and enables you to enjoy your Camino more. What would you recommend for people to get the most out of it mentally?
To get the most out of the Camino?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think in general, and this is also kind of what I talk about when I work, when I coach people and people contact me. The Camino is really a way to experiment with things that you don't dare to do in your real life, and doing so in a very kind, very forgiving and gentle setting, if I can say it like that. So, oftentimes, I'll give you an example. I had a student that was teaching and leading study abroad at a university in the U.S. until a few years ago. And one of my Camino coachees was a student who was the social butterfly. She came to me and said, I forgot what it's like to be myself. And so I'm like, basically the Camino, it can be just a walk. It also has this potential of being a meaningful and very transformational personal experience. But it's, there are no guarantees. And it's really what's important in terms of mind is what you go into it with, because the outer sort of reflects the inner, and what you go in there with is what you what you're willing to invest is proportionate to maybe what you'll try to get out of it, or will be able to get out of it. And so she wanted to encounter herself. She forgot what it's like to be herself, and that's I'm like, okay, let's kind of try and see what that entails for you, because everybody's different also. And she got to be herself, that she actually doesn't or didn't used to be able to be, just because of the different things that was important for her. Everybody, is a different stage in their life, and going into this, I think what unites us all is that the Camino, unlike lots of other experiences, is something that we go to or kind of tap into because we know or we hear that it has been something for someone, and there is the potential of something meaningful. And then it's really about, as I said, body, mind, heart, soul. It's really up to us to ask ourselves, is this wheel balanced in my life? What is important for me? What works well? Kind of becoming responsible to take self inventory, and then deciding, hey, I'm going to be, I'm an introvert, let's just say, for example, but I really always wondered what's it like to actually communicate and, talk to other people. Well, the Pilgrim family is probably some of the most wonderful people you'll meet and talk to. Random strangers become your closest friends very quickly. And so that's what I meant before, where you can experiment with these things that you're inhibited to do in your regular life, and doing so in a very kind, gentle, forgiving setting, that even if it doesn't work, well, you reconfirm, okay, I suck at this, so big deal, I knew it all along. Or however, you learn a lesson or something, okay, maybe it's not as scary, not as bad, stuff like that.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit now, Max. I'm just going to ask you, we've talked about caring for the mind and making sure that our body's ready. And one thing we've got to be very, very careful of is making sure that we've got our feet in good shape as well. So any foot care tips, routines that works for you and you think might work for others?
Yes, yeah. So just like when we were talking about socks and footwear, so that's where it's really also important to figure out what works for you, as in so many other ways. What's worked really well for me is basically the routine. My routine is every morning before setting out. I put a cream that I buy it in Germany, and I think it is available. It's called, if I translate it into English, it's called it's a deer tallow. So it's some kind of a Vaseline with maybe deer skin particles to it. I don't actually know its composition. It's just what it's called. But it's essentially, I think Vaseline would work as well. Basically, making your feet nice and fatty, and then you put your socks on, and that's what I do in the morning. So my feet don't tend to sweat, but they stay moist because the socks are tight, or because the foot doesn't slide in the socks and my foot doesn't slide in the boots, which is, it's obviously important to have them broken in. I usually don't get blisters. And then in the evenings, what I do is I bring with me also a bottle. It's an essential for me of Arnica massage oil, and I usually get the Veleda brand. And so when I get to a hostel after the shower, I just give my feet a really nice massage with, generous quantities of this Arnica massage oil. And let me tell you, my feet love it. And so, yeah, it just kind of, Arnica helps feet relax and kind of relaxes the muscles. And that's something that works for me. It keeps the blisters away, keeps my feet happy, and yeah.
So we mentioned deer particles. I never heard that one before. What's the name
deer
of the
tallow? Yeah,
deer tallow?
Yeah, deer tallow, whatever that is. I'm gonna. Yeah, I don't know.
What's the name of the product in German, just so people can look it up?
Yeah, it's just called Hirschtalg. Hirsch. Hirsch is deer, and Talg, Talg, is tallow in English. So okay. I can send you the name, or text you the name.
Yeah, if you send me a link to that, we can always put that on the Facebook page Camino de Santiago Pilgrims podcast, so people can have a look at that product. It's an interesting, never heard that one before. So deer tallow, and you said that keeps your feet moist but without sweating, which stops your feet from sliding and eventually causes blisters. And in the evening you put the Arnica massage oil on your feet, and if I'm not mistaken, Arnica is more of like a natural has anti-inflammatory properties, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
It's an natural anti-inflammatory, yeah. And that will obviously help your feet to be ready for action in the morning. Good stuff. Okay, so one of the things that sometimes sticks out in our memories about the Caminos is the places we stay along the way, the people we meet at certain places, the memories we take away with us from certain albergues. You said you stayed at a municipal albergue in Arzua the night before you arrived in Santiago with your daughter just last month. Is there one albergue that if you had to choose one albergue that you would recommend, which one would it be and why?
Oh, that's a really, really tough question.
I know.
I mean, having been to a few of them multiple times, it's a really, really tough one. Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know. So there is this albergue. Probably, if I only had to pick one, I would probably go with Albergue Pilar in Rabanal del Camino. And I don't know. There's really no particular reason. The people there know me by now. I've stayed there a number of times. I think maybe because I started the Camino a couple of times in Astorga, and Rabanal is the first place I would walk, and that would be my first place to stay, not on my first Caminos. I don't know. It's just, it has really wonderful energies. It's nothing that some other awesome albergues don't have. I can list a few other ones, but it's just the ambience, the people that are super kind, just how it feels. I guess you're just gonna have to go with the energies. If I close my eyes and things like where would I like to be, that's certainly a happy place. Not that there aren't many other ones that are just as good and happy, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult question trying to pick one difficult. From 28 or 30.
So many Caminos.
I bet. Really, I mean, that must be a harder question for you even more, to be honest with you. Let's put you out of your misery here, Max. Let's say you can say another one. Because I know you probably got another one on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, so actually I have at least 3 other ones.
Go on, fire away. Give us some more.
Maribel Roncal in Sisur, which is outside of Pamplona. It's a wonderful place. This lady is just, I mean, I stayed there my very first Camino. My last Camino when I was going through there, she's still there. She's super, super nice. Casa Austria in Los Arcos. It's a great place. They have a really nice kitchen where you can cook and have nice pilgrim joint dinners and meals and stuff like that. Casa Garcia in Gonçar towards the end of the Camino just has a beautiful, relaxing vibes to it. So, but yeah, these probably would be, these are the 4 that came to mind. Yeah.
Right. I was doing my very best to jot those all down while you were saying them. So we got the Albergue Pilar in Rabanal del Camino. You like the energy and the ambience there. There was the Maribel Roncal in Cisor Menur, which is just after Pamplona. It's about 3 kilometers after Pamplona on the Camino Frances, isn't it? Casa Austria in Los Arcos, which is in Navarre, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's just before Rioja, exactly. It's between, it's just before Logroño. It's like one stage, if you stay there, is before Logroño.
Right, and the Casa Garcia, which was where? I couldn't catch that last one.
In Gonçar, so it's 7 kilometers after Porto Marín, so it's in Galicia.
Okay, so look out for all of those places, and yeah, good stuff. So you got 4 recommendations there. And what about a favourite city, town or village along the way, and why? Again, tough
good
questions.
Very tough questions. Again, I'm going to have to just kind of fall back on the energies and vibes of the towns and villages. So let me tell you this first of all. I'm really not a big fan of big cities on the Camino. And I just, there's nothing wrong with them, but entering them, exiting them, being in them just kind of drains me a bit. And not all of them, and certainly not Santiago. I absolutely love being in Santiago, but like walking into Burgos is tough. Walking into León is a drag, and so I'm probably not going to mention any of those. Although of big cities, I probably have to pick León. Not mentioning Santiago. Smaller towns, I absolutely love the energy of Villafranca del Bierzo. And as far as like earlier on the Camino, similar sized towns, maybe like Estella, it's really, really good energies there. And as far as even smaller places, La Faba, just before Ocebreiro, has just this, even this Camino, my daughter and I just kind of sat there. Everything was closed because it was still very early in the year. But we just felt this wonderful energy there. And so it's a tough question. I can talk about, again, like with lots of things, what worked for me. It's everybody's different, and there are people who love bigger towns, and there's nothing wrong with that. So just have to follow your nose, and just a general thing on the Camino, just whatever feels good, just go for it and go with it. Whatever doesn't feel right, and you cannot explain it, don't try to explain it. Just walk out of that town and walk those extra 4 kilometers. Maybe a little village is waiting for you with a charming little albergue, and that's just it. So yeah, just kind of go with your gut feeling.
I like the way you kept linking the places you said, which were Villafranca del Bierzo, Estella, La Faba, to the energy that you felt. And to me, the Camino has some kind of higher vibration. Maybe it's to do with the ley lines. Maybe it's to do with the fact that we are, as we said at the start of this podcast, fusing all of those amazing experiences of adventure, of culture, of travel. But what can you define what kind of energy you feel there? Can you describe it? Why these places attract you? Why they captivated you?
Yeah, and it's not. It's also not that all the places on the Camino have that energy. And I've experienced places of rather negative energy that was, again, inexplicable. But that's what I meant before. Like you kind of need to get into the habit of trying not to explain it, because in our day-to-day life, we train ourselves to have to explain all things that happen to us. As you said, I couldn't agree more. The Camino is just it's a different level of vibration, and our senses eventually, whether we want to or not, we notice at some point that our senses become much sharper. Our perception gets much more fine-tuned than before, and it's because we're really not used to it. It's a bit confusing at times. Once you get used to it, it's like, okay, my senses are sharper now, so I'm going to rely on them. If one can learn this, it's a really, really good lesson, and the Camino provides it. The energies I'm talking about, it's also very different. It's also different at different times. For me, Villafranca kind of hit me the very first time when I walked into it. I was in a lot of pain. I had a strained, I can't even remember what tendon somewhere. And it gave me this the whole experience there, the water, the beautiful medieval bridge, not really knowing that I'm going to stay there, not feeling that I have to push myself to the next place. The kind care that I received at the albergue, which I also should mention, Albergue de la Piedra in Villafranca, it's an absolutely awesome place. It's sort of like everything kind of combined, and every time I go back to Villafranca, I stay there, I stop, and time kind of pauses and stops, and I just kind of soak up, I regenerate these feelings from before. Other places there are a few places that like Estella. The first few times I was there, it didn't impress me at all, and at some point it just kind of like hit me. It gave me this, I don't know, like very calming, comfortable, beautiful energy kick somehow. I don't know.
I remember passing through that square, the church square in Estella, just kind of looking up and feeling something very similar, actually. I really had a good feeling when I was in Estella. And also talking about Villafranca del Bierzo, I remember walking through there, maybe it was like 6, 7 in the morning, something like that. And I was actually sad that I arrived there at that time and not at the end of the day, because I thought this looks like an amazing place to stay. So looks like we both agree on that. Talking about your kit list now, Max. I mean, we've spoken about 3 obvious things, which are the backpack, the footwear, and socks, which we're obviously going to have with us on every Camino. Aside from those 3 things, what would be the top 3 things on your packing list, and why?
Okay. Are we still talking gear, like any other kinds of gear? Because I was like, t-shirts, hiking pants. Are we including that, or something that is?
Could be anything, any of the 3 things, any 3 things that you definitely would take with you. I mean, obviously clothes we're going to have with us as well, but could be anything for any specific reason, something that's precious and important to you.
Yeah. I try always to have a souvenir with me, something that if I'm there not with my daughter, then something from her that she gives me, like a little talisman, whatever it is. It was a handband or armband one time that she made out of those rubber bands.
Lovely answer.
If it's my wife who is not with me, who I, by the way, met on the first day of the Camino, we met in the Roncesvalles albergue, walked the whole Camino, and we're married now. It was 3 years ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one of those Camino love stories.
Yes. Can we go through the whole story before we finish this podcast?
Sure. Okay. This time she was not with me or with us, and she gave me a little something to remind me of her. And also, last not least, so that this would be one thing. I try not to bring any additional extras except photography. So I do world travel photography. I do Camino photography. I have a photography website, and there are prints and photography for sale there in the shop. And I obviously, this is, I bring photography gear. So this last time it was actually a lot. I try to underpack everything else and bring my photography gear.
So souvenir, which is a really, really, really nice idea, a nice sentiment as well. I remember on my first podcast, I carried with me a lucky omen that one of my best friends gave me, and it was just something. It was just like a football card that he'd written a message on there to me, and that was kind of, I held that like China the whole way through. The photography, so you underpacked other stuff, so you could carry your photography stuff. I've seen your Instagram; your photos are amazing. Talking of your photography, where can the listeners find your work?
It's I have a photography site, so it's maximovphotography.com, and maybe I can send a link if you have a place to put it. So,
absolutely, I'll put that on our Facebook page and also on our Instagram page as well. And I know you spoke about the thing your wife gave to you. What would be the third thing on your packing list aside from the souvenir and the photography gear?
Actually, well, not counting the obvious, whatever is necessary for the Camino, which I have a YouTube channel I talk about. There's a video about packing for the Camino, but I don't really, my recommendation here would be just try even this thing that you think you would need or might want or might like. Try not to bring anything, because it really we have so many distractions in our day-to-day life. Go on the Camino, bring yourself. Open your heart a bit wider and take it with you, or something like that. I mean, I can say that some people take a stone or something that embodies their worries and bring it with them, and leave it at Cruz de Ferro, at the Iron Cross. But I was, as I was speaking, I was like, should I mention it? Should I not? What if you go on the Camino and you don't walk there, or if you walk the Camino del Norte or Portuguese way? I mean, it's really, I recommend really bringing something that connects you to you, which for me, it's my hobby, it's my photography, connects you to the loved ones, which is the omen, or maybe one or two things from whoever is the most important person for you. And then, just tell yourself, I'm going to have a 0 on number 3.
I like the idea though of bringing yourself, because that's what you're on the Camino for, is to find yourself. And while some people may be just going for an adventure, there are so many people that you meet on the Camino that are searching for answers to themselves and trying to find out what they should be doing with the rest of their lives and getting closer to who they really are. So that's a really nice, unconventional answer there, Max, and I love that. Thank you very much. We're going to run into some quick fire questions now. So they're going to be short, sharp, quick answers. And the first one is going to be your favorite Camino blog or book, or book.
Blog or book? Ooh. Okay, so the book probably, because of the work that I've done and working with people and stuff like that, helping them prepare for the Camino, looking for answers for myself. There's this really, really nice book called The Pilgrimage Road to Santiago, the Complete Cultural Handbook. And so my background is in university study abroad leading. This is what this was, and there are lots of amazing it's more into academic, but they're not really academic. They cover everything: art, architecture, geology, history, folklore, saints' lives, and flora and fauna. So I can shoot you the ISBN number if you'd like. It's that'll be the book. And can I mention a movie?
Yes, please do. That was going to be my next question. Go for it.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
no worries. Great minds think alike.
Okay. My still absolute favorite is this great movie called Within the Way Without. And it's I think you can find it. It was back in the day when I bought it, it was marketed through Confraternity of St. James in the UK. And it's also available, I think, on YouTube nowadays. But there are a couple of points where you're like, oh, come on, that's just a bit too much. But by and large, it's fantastic. It follows 3 pilgrims, winter, spring, and summer pilgrims, different ages, different backgrounds, and the camera just kind of jumps from one to the other and kind of films their reflections and the Camino, obviously. I very, very highly recommend it.
Favorite food and or drink on the Camino?
Okay, well, probably least favorite are French fries, because you just get tired of them everywhere. Food, I probably have to say towards the end of the Camino, obviously all the seafood, pulpo, as well as everything else you get there. On the Camino, small towns itself, where there's not a whole lot of variety, I'd go with a croissant, warmed, cut in half with some ham inside. And so croissant ham sandwich and drink. Well, I love coffee in Spain, certainly wine. I believe wine in Spain on the Camino has healing qualities. Yeah, probably something like that. Oh, yeah, freshly squeezed orange juice, which you can get in any village, anywhere in Spain. It's amazing.
Zumo de naranja.
Yes, sí, señor. Exactamente.
One thing you wished you'd packed.
One thing I wished I'd
Maybe on your first Camino, you're maybe not as experienced. You just kind of had a week and a half to prepare for it. And you thought, I wish I'd have brought that. Next time I'll bring that.
Every time there's something that I wished I'd pack, and every time it's something different. The first Camino is obvious, just better gear. Maybe I wished I'd packed more brain. I think that I'm going to have to say Camino provides. Whatever you wished you packed, and this happened to me this Camino as well. I forgot something. It was quite essential, and the Camino provided me with it. It's it's something that one shouldn't worry about.
And what was that?
Really? Okay, so on YouTube, as I said, there's a channel where I'm talking about the packing list. I have everything laid out, and so the next day I was actually packing, and one thing that I did not pack, and this is really, I'm so embarrassed, but it was extra underwear. So I landed in Spain with just the underwear that I had on. And sure enough, Camino provided me with a store where you can buy some. So it's hilarious, and I'm laughing about it.
I thought you were going to say you were using someone else's for a minute there. I was like, okay, well, we're a Camino family. Why not?
No, there were very few pilgrims. I probably would have bought some off of someone because, I never got to the point of being desperate. And there are washers everywhere. That's the whole thing. I was, for 2 days, actually did okay with just one pair because I had sleeping pants as well. So it's, but yeah.
One thing you didn't need and wouldn't take again, sorry.
Okay. Well, I didn't have it the first Camino, but the last few Caminos, just because of when in the year I was going, I had, including this one, I had the rain leg covers because I have a poncho, and that's something that I would, even if it doesn't rain, I wouldn't forgo. But rain leg covers, 2-3 Caminos with me, and I never used them, not a single time. And they weigh, about 400 grams, so it's just that extra weight. I just never use it. In March, in October, it just didn't rain enough for me to need them.
One place you wished you'd stayed over?
Stayed over meaning like stayed another day?
Yeah, maybe you thought, I'd really like to stay there, but you didn't get the chance.
Albergue or town?
Town, village, whatever.
Okay. Yes, there is a place like that. Actually, yeah, it's a very good question. I think it's called, it's Siraqui, if I'm not...
Yeah, I've stayed there.
Have you? Okay, I haven't. So it's between Puente la Reina and Estella. And it's like up on top of this hill. It's like the town.
Right, yep.
Yeah, and every time I walk through it, I'm like, this looks like such an amazing place. And I stop and have something to eat. But then because I stay, before that I stay in Puente la Reina, and it just makes it for a very short day. And but that's for sure the place I would stay.
The advantage of staying there, Siraqui, would be that in Puente la Reina, there's like 300 beds in the municipal albergue. And in Siraqui, I stayed in the private albergue. I think there was like 10, something like that, 12. So you get a bit more of a quiet night, maybe a better night's sleep. So, and it's beautiful setting, looks out over the fields of La Rioja and Navarra. It's really, really nice setting. So yeah, I would highly recommend that place as well. I had one of my best nights on the Camino Frances there for sure.
Oh, and see, the thing is,
just gives me goosebumps. You say in the name, just mention the place, it gives me goosebumps.
And I'm planning I'm setting the dates for my fall Camino this week, and I'm actually seriously thinking of staying there. However, the big disadvantage to a photographer in me are those, the evening night lapses or whatever, or long exposures of the bridge in Puente la Reina, which I would not be able to take. I have a few, but it's a really tough call. That town is, it's magnificent.
Agonizing decision. Maybe a guilty pleasure that you carried with you.
Ooh, that's, I don't really think. I mean, if photography
Maybe it's the
doesn't.
photography stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
because, it's to the point, even this Camino, when I went with my daughter, I knew I'd want to spend time with her mostly, which I did. I didn't take as many pictures as I wanted, but I had gear for everything in life, and I just never got to use it. And, you ask yourself why you're so stupid and carried. Yeah, it makes you wonder. So probably, yeah, it's probably going to be photography. Yeah, if I cannot say it myself, then it's going to be photography.
What about the hardest part of the Camino for you?
Ooh, the French Camino.
Yeah, either. I mean, it could be. It doesn't. It could be something physical. It could be something mental.
hmm Yeah, but are we talking on the French Camino or
Any
any
of the
Camino?
Caminos. Yeah.
Okay, so on the Portuguese Camino, it leads in Spain already, in Galicia. It goes through the town of, I think it's Porriño, which is industrial town for like 10 kilometers. It's horrible. There are tough parts on Camino del Norte, but on the French way, obviously the first day from Saint-Jean, and it doesn't actually matter which way you go, if it's the Napoleon route, it's extremely beautiful, but it is, just because you're not used to it, it tends to be challenging. Um, and then, yeah, there are, ironically or expectedly, I should say, the toughest parts usually tend to be also the most beautiful ones. So it's the ascent to Osebreiro. If walking up the hill is tough, but it's also some of the most beautiful views. Um, going down to Molina Seca and to Tria Castella. If your knees hurt, it's really, really, really tough, because it's just very tough descent. But also just absolutely incredibly beautiful. And yeah, Meseta as a whole can be a pretty tough place mentally, I think. I mean, it's there. It breaks lots of people. It had that effect on me once, and lots of other pilgrims that I've talked to just kind of said, it's just really nothing physical, but mentally, emotionally, it just kind of really eats at you. So
I think we might have covered this next question already when you spoke about the things that you love about the Camino. But what would be your favorite thing about walking the Camino de Santiago?
Yeah, well, aside from the fact that it's like, I mean, I look at it as a vacation for my soul and for my senses. So aside from all that, like the egocentric part, it's really the people that I meet and just the interpersonal exchanges that you have, the things you give, the things you receive from others. It's just absolutely, it's extremely hard to describe, but that's the best thing. The people, the human aspect of the Camino.
Hard work for the body and a holiday for the spirit. Something along those lines. And lastly, maybe a Camino app that you might use before or whilst you're on the Camino.
I have been using this app called Camino Tool, but lately I really haven't had to use any apps, just because the last few Caminos I've been back on the French way and I know it pretty well. So I don't really, I know Camino Tool is a really great app. They're up to date, and I've consulted once in a while, and I know there's some other ones, but this is something that I'll probably give off to someone else who knows better than I do. But I think if I go, or when I go back to the Norte or the Portuguese, I'll certainly be looking out for apps and app recommendations. But for the French, I'm pretty good with it.
Okay, we're going to go back to the main discussion now, Max, and we've spoken a little bit about the special energy that's on the Camino, and I wonder if you can recall a funny, inspiring, perhaps quirky moment or encounter that embodies everything that's good about the Camino. This could be maybe when you met your wife, a story that you could tell that would attract others that are maybe not sure about walking the Camino, thinking, that's my kind of thing. I'd like to experience something like that, be around those kind of people.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. Camino is just, as you know, the Camino is all about miracles. They just kind of happen there all the time, and it freaks you out because first you're not used to it. You know, synchronicities. Kind of you open your mouth to say something, somebody else says exactly the same thing. It's all over the place, and it's really really funny. Like from the most recent Camino, maybe. So my daughter and I are walking with this couple from Florida. And they were also not on their first Camino. So their first Camino was in 2015, I think, and they've done 4 or 5 since. So became completely Camino addicted in a very, very good and healthy way. And so we're talking about, they're mentioning that in 2015, they were walking, they had this beautiful, wonderful Camino family, Burgos, but all the way to Burgos, they had this wonderful Camino family. They just kept talking about it, and they said, "Yeah, and there's this 2 people from the States that were making a movie about the Camino." And I'm like, "Yeah, they weren't from Arizona, were they?" And they said, "Oh yeah, they were from Arizona." So long story short, turns out that that Camino family, I picked up a lot of that Camino family, including the movie makers, in Astorga. So I would have met these Floridans if they had walked through that time. And so I also became really good friends with this couple that are making a movie about the Camino. They are about to finish it, and they're from Arizona. And so I showed this Florida couple a picture of a few of their Camino family members that I had on my Instagram. And they're like, "This is incredible." So talk about, we would have met 5 years prior to that. So things like this happen quite often. But yeah, probably, I mean, most definitely the most serendipitous synchronicity moment. So it was the Camino 2017. I met a lady from Australia on my way to Saint Jean. And but in Saint John we stayed at separate places. The next day, we talked on the bus from to Saint Jean. The next day I didn't see her, and when I got to Roncesvalles, or right before Roncesvalles in the forest, I saw her. I bumped into her, and she was super funny. We laughed a lot. She's a great lady, kind of has this motherly care, but also just crazy funny. So we go and laugh our way through the forest until we get to the albergue in Roncesvalles. So we get in line, which I had never seen there. I didn't know lines existed in albergues before because I walked in different times of the year. So I go to see how long the line is, and then I return, and this beautiful woman is standing next to my Australian friend. So long story short, we start talking, this and that. We get finally to the check-in, and we start writing down. So you have to fill out the check-in form that asks for birthday, country of residence, this and that. And so we're standing about 1.5 meters apart. So me, my Australian friend, and this beautiful woman. And as I'm filling this form, I'm putting for the date, I'm putting 07/15/2017. I'm sorry, 15/07/2017. Although it was September 15th, but I put July 15th, and I kind of say to myself, but aloud, I can't believe I put 15th of July instead of 15th of September. Just like this to myself, without even looking at anybody. And Andrea is lifting her eyes and is like, "Look here." And I look at her form, and she put the same thing. Again, we couldn't see it. I mean, it would have been impossible. You cannot make this up. And it's one of these moments where it just hits you like, wow, what are the mathematical probability chances of something like this happen? This was our very first miracle, and it continued basically the whole way to Santiago and beyond. And as I said, we're married now.
It's like your minds were tethered from then on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Really, really nice story. So, and you're now married, which is a lovely story, and you're going to walk some more Caminos together?
Most definitely. Yeah.
Whenever we can. I mean, you've been a Camino coach. Maybe you have some kind of inside information that we don't have, and I know this is a long shot, but have you got any idea when you think it might be open again? Well, I mean, obviously, this is just a prediction, and we cannot say this is for sure, but...
Right, yeah. I am in contact with some people on the Camino, and Summertime looks difficult and very unpredictable. I'm planning. It's a really what's challenging about these times is you really kind of you need to be able to plan something, but it's so hard to do it. It's just very abnormal, I guess. I'm planning to go on the Camino in the second half of September, and like I said, I'm
Me
setting
too,
the
Max.
dates
Me
so
too.
that. Really?
Yeah.
Well, what are the chances?
It's well, we're
Yeah.
gonna go potentially to the Camino del Norte, my wife and I, on our
Oh,
honeymoon.
okay. Oh, wow, fantastic.
Yeah, since
Yeah.
we can't travel internationally, and
Hmm.
we actually live in Spain. We live in Canarias.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're thinking of doing that, of going to the Camino del Norte.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So
But
I hope that I hope, well, I mean, for you, it should be possible. For us, the rest of us in Europe, maybe, hopefully it will be possible. I mean, obviously, the European Union just passed, I guess, something that says that the outer borders of the EU will be closed through September 3rd or something like that. So that means that, if you're listening to this from Australia, Canada, or US or wherever, yeah, it's going to be, and again, it's just as of now, maybe it'll be sooner, maybe it'll be later, but it's really hard to plan. I think September is probably realistic, but again, I'm
could
planning second
change.
half of September.
Yeah,
It could change. Yeah.
yeah, us too. We're planning the end of September and maybe walking through until early November, something like that. Max, a couple of things just before we go, and I want to remember to ask you, you've walked, how many different Caminos have you walked?
Well, I've been on the Camino 14 times, but it's been many of them are the French way, and then I also know the Portuguese way and the northern way, the Camino del Norte.
For why would you recommend each one? Who would you recommend the Portuguese to? Who would you recommend the Frances to? And who would you recommend the Norte to?
Oof. Well, that's a really tough question. And it also depends if you're talking walking through, like, if you have the time to do the entire Camino.
Yeah.
I think, well, a couple of things. The Portuguese way is nowadays from what I gather, it's become a really. I was there in 2013, so a few things have changed. I guess. I think it's a really nice. It can be now a really nice first Camino experience, and I've heard from many people that the part from between Lisbon and Porto is not as, to put it mildly, is not as appealing.
That's tough.
But the part
That's
from
a tough area.
It's tough and it's just not pleasant. It's just not
flat.
It's not.
It's very flat. There's
Yeah.
lots of walking
And
through fields where there's nothing on the horizon. It's like
yeah.
maybe it's like the Meseta times 4 in terms of
Yeah.
distance
Oh.
and
And
also
you don't
there's
have anything before that, because at least before the Meseta and after the Meseta you have something beautiful. Yeah, but here, like, if you only plan 2 weeks, then Porto de Santiago is a really good, beautiful, appealing, and pleasant experience.
100% agree
So,
with that. Yeah.
yeah, the Camino del Norte. Not certainly people can do it as their first Camino, and I mean I was there in June because I refused to go on the Camino Frances in June, and it was wonderful. There were pilgrims, but not very many. Again, that was also maybe 5 years ago. So I don't know. I know that it's become more popular now, and it's the thing about Camino del Norte that I've taken from it is just how the discrepancy, how radically beautiful or just really, really tough it is. All in one. On one day, you can have, I think it was Unquera or somewhere like that. You walk 16 kilometers in pouring rain, just on this highway shoulder, and passing trucks just dump dirty water all over you, and you hate everything. But then you get off that highway and you're on a beach and you just have the most amazing views you've ever seen in your life. And so all of that fits in one day. And it's tougher, it's more challenging, but it's incredibly beautiful. And the French way is by default the best thing, because it's got it all. It's got its beauty, it's got its toughness. The only thing is the time. March, April, September, October into November is great. In the summer, I would not go on the French way, because it's just it's very, very packed. And next
Tens
year
of
is going to be
thousands of people in the summer, tens of
yeah.
thousands.
And next year, of course, is the Holy Year, so it's going to be even crazier than that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I did read actually that they were thinking of they were moving the Holy Year to 2022, but that's not been
Really?
confirmed. Yeah, I did read that. I can't remember where I read it, but and that obviously that's not been confirmed. And like everything else right now, it's just speculation. I mean, here in Canarias, they're saying that they're going to be opening the hotels sometime this summer. They plan to, they aim to. But they will only be allowed at 50% capacity, and that would be at the bars and restaurants would also be the same, have the same restrictions applied to them, and all of the tables have to have glass screens between them, cash payments only. So these are some of the changes that we could expect to see on the Camino, but as always, everything is so unpredictable right now. So Max, it's been really, really nice talking to you. It's lovely to hear the stories about you going with your daughter on the Camino, meeting your wife on the Camino, the serendipitous encounters you've had, your amazing recommendations, your practical tips. And I'm sure, like many of the listeners, we all want to keep in contact with you. So just let us know how we can do that.
Yeah. Well, you can, I guess email is probably the most traditional way, thecaminocoach@gmail.com. You can email me. You can also find my website, and that is www.caminodesantiagocoach.com. And there is a contact form, which will basically, it's kind of the same way to get to my email. And I am on Instagram, and my Instagram name is @thecaminocoach. My YouTube channel is also called The Camino Coach, and I have a video that is probably coming in today or tomorrow in the next couple of days about money matters and how to budget and expenses on the Camino. I don't have very many videos yet. It's my kind of project in becoming. And my photo gallery with online shop, which also has a contact option, is, as I said, Maximov photography.com. And I can send all those to you. I don't know if you have a way of posting.
Yeah, I can post those on. I can post those on our Facebook page, and people can, send me all of those links, and I'll stick them on our Facebook page, and they'll be able to keep in contact with you there, with your videos, with your photography, which I've seen on Instagram is amazing. I've been looking at your stuff for quite a while. Absolutely love it.
Thank you.
And obviously with your coaching activities.
Yes, thank you. And my Facebook is going to be, it's next thing also in the making. I've been trying to stay away from it, but I think it's, why resist? I might as well use it as well. So maybe I'll have a Facebook account as well soon.
Yeah, we can get the positives out of it all. Why not?
Exactly.
Max, thank you so much for an hour of your time this afternoon. I'm wishing you and your wife and your daughter to stay healthy through these quite challenging times, and that your daughter has a good transition back to school in Germany in September. Wish you luck with the homeschooling as well meantime, and of course for your Camino in September. Fingers crossed that we can, maybe I'll see you somewhere in Saint Jean or on the road out there, maybe in Santiago for some pulpo. Just want to wish you a buen camino. Ultreya.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And as a pilgrim, of course, talking about the Camino is a favorite topic. I've really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to any questions, recommendations, anything else that your listeners might have. I will respond just as quickly as I can. And hey, if we're on the Camino at the same time, let's stay in touch. And maybe I wasn't planning with El Norte, but who knows? Camino provides, and maybe our ways will cross. And thank you again so much for having me. And buen camino to you too.